要战便战！
哼，这一介凡夫可知晓，自己早已是个死人。
是我不会饶你，雷系之徒，你是徐梦？住口！让本座看看你这逆天而行的不魂之术，究竟藏着什么秘密
Renegade Immortal, Episode 142. At the end of the previous episode, Thunder Taoists seemed to casually step into the room, but the whole room started crackling. Lightning moved along the walls and made the entire house become a lighting cage. If one looked from outside, they would clearly see that Wang Ping's house was surrounded by lightning. The Thunder Beast was lying idly in the sky, and its eyes were filled with disdain. It was as if nothing in the world was worth its slightest attention. This was because it was a Thunder Beast, the holy beast of the old Thunder Celestial realm, although its bloodline wasn't very pure and there was a very big gap between its ancestors. Its pride came from its bones. Wang Ping put down the wood carving and stood next to Qing Yi. He looked at the middle-aged man and calmly asked, "Who are you?" The current Wang Ping wasn't like a mortal at all. The calmness in his eyes wasn't fake. He was truly calm. He stood before Qing Yi like a man that was holding up the world. All of this was due to his father. Wang Lin, 19 years of ordinary life, 8 years of travel, and more than 30 years of being a supreme ruler among mortals allowed him to have a heart that doesn't fear the heavens. He wasn't afraid of the heavens collapsing, much less of this cultivator. Qing Yi stared at Wang Ping's eyes. At this moment his figure was forever engraved in her mind. The tenderness in Qing Yi's eyes became even stronger. She dispersed her cultivation. She stood next to her husband and calmly looked at the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man looked meaningfully at Wang Ping, and his eyes revealed a strange light. This gaze seemed to be able to see through Wang Ping. The reason his divine sense descended here was because all of the mortals had passed out when his divine sense swept by. This was because his cultivation was too strong and contained a hint of thunder, which made his divine sense felt like the might of the heavens for mortals. However, only this mortal before him didn't pass out, and it looked like this mortal didn't even notice that his divine sense had passed by. This was why it aroused his interest, and his divine sense had locked on to this place. He slowly said, "Interesting. No wonder you didn't pass out." It was like this. Just at the moment, the middle-aged man stepped into the room. In the faraway, vast water city, Wang Lin was originally sitting in a chair holding a jug of wine when he suddenly stood up. The wine jug in his right hand shattered, and even the wine inside completely disintegrated. When Wang Lin raised his head, the eyes that hadn't showed any color for 70 years showed coldness that had never appeared before. This was even more terrifying than the time in the restaurant. Thunder Taoist's gaze fell on Wang Ping's body. With interest in his eyes, he slowly said, "It turns out you're not human." Before he finished speaking, Wang Ping's body trembled, and at this moment, the shadow behind him suddenly moved. The moment the celestial guard puppet appeared, it threw a punch. This punch created a sonic boom. The sound almost replaced the roar of the thunder as it charged straight at Thunder Taoist. Thunder Taoist's eyes narrowed. He had seen that there was a puppet hidden very well inside Wang Ping's shadow. So he wasn't surprised. His hand formed a seal. Lightning appeared in his hand, and his palm slammed toward the puppet. The celestial guard puppet landed directly on the lightning and penetrated it. The puppet was completely indifferent to the lightning, and its punch landed on Thunder Taoist's hand. A destructive force moved like crazy from the puppet's fist into Thunder Taoist's body. It was as if a storm was set off, and rumbling sounds were coming from his body. A muffled sound echoed through the room as Thunder Taoist retreated several steps, but the numbness in his hand and the lightning dissipated quickly. His eyes revealed a strange light as he looked at the puppet and laughed. Top-quality puppet. The celestial guard puppet retreated 2 steps. Its eyes were cold. Lightning moved through its body as if snakes were dancing. As Thunder Taoist laughed, he took a step forward. Just as his foot landed, all of the lightning around the house gathered at his foot and followed his foot down as he mercilessly stomped the ground. The entire world seemed to collapse at this moment. The house instantly dissipated without any trace of it remaining. The lightning spread like crazy, and Wang Ping was right in the middle of it. The celestial guard puppet's eyes became even colder, and it threw another punch. However, there was too much lightning, so the celestial guard couldn't block all of it. The lightning was about to spread to Wang Ping's body. Qing Yi's expression was unchanged. She pulled Wang Ping's hand and looked at him tenderly. As for Wang Ping, he didn't panic at all. It was as if even if Mount Tai collapsed, he wouldn't move, because he knew that his father would definitely come. In his eyes, his father was the strongest existence under the stars. No one stood a chance against him. Wang Ping's calmness attracted Thunder Daoist's gaze. After taking a careful look, he was startled. It seemed he had seen through some things. The lightning ripples darted straight toward Wang Ping, but just as it got close, an ancient voice echoed between the heavens and earth. This voice was very ancient, and at the moment it landed, it caused all of the lightning that was moving like dragons to freeze. The blue lightning seemed to be alive, and some of its thin branches were only 3 inches from Wang Ping. But at this moment, all of them were frozen. The voice only said one word: "Stop." A huge vortex appeared in the void, and a white-haired old man slowly walked out from the vortex. He stepped on the void and arrived before Wang Ping. He then casually pointed at the lightning frozen before Wang Ping. There was a series of crackling sounds as cracks immediately spread around this ripples of lightning. In an instant, this spread like crazy and the ripples of lightning collapsed. This happened so suddenly that it caused Thunder Daoist to gasp. He retreated 2 steps and stared at Wang Lin with caution in his eyes. He wasn't able to see through this person's cultivation. He could see the person with his eyes, but with his divine sense, this old man seemed to not even exist. Wang Ping stared at the old man before him and softly said, "Dad." This call contained his decades of longing. The old man was Wang Lin. His originally muddied eyes were extremely cold. This kind of gaze hadn't appeared in his eyes in a long time. Wang Lin slowly said, "Thunder Celestial Temple Messenger." The celestial guard puppet moved next to Wang Lin in a flash and coldly stared at Thunder Daoist. Thunder Daoist stared at Wang Lin with a very serious expression and asked, "Who are you, sir?" Wang Lin looked at his surroundings. Such a large commotion, and yet there was no movement from the villagers. It was obvious that all of them had been knocked unconscious by this person's divine sense. He waved his right hand, and a gentle light surrounded Wang Ping and Qing Yi. At the same time, he took a step and instantly took Wang Ping and Qing Yi away. The celestial guard followed closely after him. Thunder Daoist's expression turned gloomy. He let out a cold snort and also disappeared after a step. Wang Lin appeared above a vast uninhabited plain in the western part of planet Ran Yun. Wang Ping and Qing Yi also appeared with the gentle light surrounding them. At the same time, thunder flashed 1,000 feet before them, and Thunder Daoist appeared. The moment he appeared, a large amount of lightning appeared around him. At this moment, the entire sky darkened, and bursts of lightning came from the clouds. It was very shocking. Thunder Daoist's voice was cold as he stared at Wang Lin and slowly said, "I don't care who you are. Leave behind the puppet, and this old man will spare the 3 of you." Wang Lin's eyes became even colder, and he calmly said, "Even if you let me go, I will not let you off. If I was a step slower, my son would have died by your hand. This matter has touched my bottom line. I don't care what your identity is. Today you'll die." His voice was filled with resolve, and killing intent suddenly appeared. At the same time, the celestial guard stepped forth, and its entire body released a golden glow. It rushed forward like a man made of gold and threw a punch at Thunder Daoist. Thunder Daoist slapped his bag of holding, and a thunder net appeared in his hand. His hand formed a seal and threw the net. The net suddenly became large enough to cover the heavens and earth before it quickly began to contract toward the celestial guard. There were countless runes flashing on the thunder net. It was extremely tenacious, so the punch from the celestial guardian puppet wasn't able to shatter it. "This old man is a messenger of the Thunder Celestial Temple. With your strength, even if you have this puppet, it will be impossible to kill me." Thunder Daoist didn't even look at the thunder net as his hand formed a seal. He then shot out a bolt of lightning toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression remained neutral, and he didn't even dodge the bolt of lightning. As it closed in, he merely opened his mouth, and before Thunder Daoist's gaze of disbelief, Wang Lin devoured the lightning. Burst of lightning moved around Wang Lin's body, giving off crackling sounds. This tiny amount of lightning isn't enough. Wang Lin raised his right hand, and some of his origin soul immediately moved toward his right hand. A ball of thunder suddenly appeared in his palm. Although the ball of thunder was only the size of a fist, it caused a change in all the dark clouds in the sky and made all of the lightning go crazy. In an instant, all of the lightning charged out toward the ball of thunder in Wang Lin's hand. This scene caused Thunder Daoist to gasp. What he saw was all the lightning falling down like rain toward this person's palm. This is true thunder. Wang Lin's voice was calm, and he waved his right hand. The ball of thunder gave off a thunderous rumble as it flew toward Thunder Daoist. Thunder Daoist's expression changed greatly, and he retreated without any hesitation. He slapped his bag of holding and immediately took out a black metal bar that was 3 feet long and 1 inch thick. There were countless runes carved on the stick, and there were dark red lines interlaced on it. At the moment Wang Lin's ball of thunder arrived, Thunder Daoist mercilessly stuck the bar into the ground. At the same time, both of his hands formed seals that landed on the bar. Thunder Daoist's eyes narrowed, and he shouted, "Thunder of heaven and earth, gather!" The ball of thunder closed in with a loud rumble, but was immediately affected by the metal bar. It unexpectedly charged straight toward the metal bar, and then a powerful layer of lightning immediately surrounded it. As the lightning moved along the bar, all of the runes began to shine as if they were rapidly absorbing something. However, the ball of thunder was too strong. In the next breath, it broke, releasing a sound as if it couldn't hold it anymore, and cracks began to appear on it. But the dark red lines moved along the cracks, acting like a glue that prevented the metal bar from collapsing. The ball of thunder rumbled loudly, giving off a sense of majesty. Although a lot of its thunder had been absorbed by the metal, it still collided with the metal bar. At this moment, the cracks on the metal bar rapidly spread and seemed to extend all over the bar in an instant. Now the dark red lines seemed to be covering the entire metal bar in order to keep it intact. Thunder Daoist looked at the scene before him with a look of disbelief. Just at this moment, the metal bar seemed to be unable to withstand the powerful lightning. After absorbing the entire ball of thunder, it trembled and suddenly collapsed before Thunder Daoist. It was as if thunderclaps had gone off and planet Ranyun trembled. Large amounts of mountain peaks had collapsed, causing a huge uproar. The metal bar collapsed, and the powerful thunder exploded forth with Thunder Daoist at the center. He was forced to retreat 10 steps, and his face turned pale. He looked at Wang Lin and shouted, "You are the person who pretended to be a messenger of the Thunder Celestial Temple. Shu Mu, what exactly is your cultivation level?" The thunder power from the collapse of the metal bar caused the lightning surrounding the Celestial Guard to vanish, and the Celestial Guard walked out. Wang Lin calmly looked at Thunder Daoist and slowly said, "My cultivation level." He pondered as celestial spiritual energy suddenly erupted from his body, from foundation establishment, climbing all the way up to soul formation. Then it continued to rise until it reached the peak of the late stage of soul transformation. This was not the end. As the celestial spiritual energy in his body burst forth, his cultivation level rose to the early stage of ascendant. As Wang Lin's body was being filled with celestial spiritual energy, Thunder Daoist's expression became even more ugly. Although he wouldn't consider a first-step cultivator a threat, this old man's cultivation level kept climbing, and he didn't know where it would ultimately end. The early stage of ascendant wasn't the end. As the celestial spiritual energy inside his body burst forth, his cultivation reached the mid-stage of ascendant. The celestial spiritual energy gradually calmed down and stayed at the mid-stage of ascendant. However, Wang Lin's aura became even stronger without any pause. This aura came from his domain. The limitation of mid-stage ascendant cultivation wasn't able to stop the increase in domain. Wang Lin's domain aura became stronger and stronger, causing Thunder Daoist's expression to become more gloomy. The increase in domain seemed like it was never going to stop and broke past what an ordinary mid-stage ascendant cultivator would have. At this moment, Wang Lin's white hair moved without any wind, and he began to ponder even harder. The powerful aura spread out from Wang Lin and dashed out in all directions. It slowly covered planet Ran Yun. As his domain continued to spread, it reached the late stage of ascendant. This wasn't the final stopping point, it continued to increase. This caused Thunder Daoist's eyelid twitch non-stop, and he almost stopped breathing as his heart felt a sense of dread. When he felt the domain stop, he relaxed a bit and thought, a cultivator still stuck at the first step is easy to kill. However, is he only this strong? A large mountain and river painting appeared in the sky. This painting used the sky as the canvas and the land as ink. It was as if a mirage had just suddenly appeared. An underworld river slowly appeared from the painting and flowed slowly. However, the underworld river suddenly trembled and went into Wang Lin through the top of this head. While Thunder Daoist was in complete shock, Wang Lin's domain, which was about to peak, suddenly increased and reached the peak of the late stage of ascendant. Wang Lin's domain stopped here. Thunder Daoist let out a sigh of relief. He was really afraid that Wang Lin's domain had broken through the first step. If that was really the case, then Thunder Daoist would be in for a gruesome fight today due to the assistance of the puppet. Thunder Daoist sneered. Just this tiny amount of cultivation, and you dare to impersonate someone from the Thunder Celestial Temple. However, there were still some doubts in his heart. After all, that ball of thunder that Shu Mu used earlier was too shocking. This kind of thunder spell was not something an ordinary cultivator could have. He had only seen it from Earth-ranked messengers in the Thunder Celestial Temple. Another thing that made him suspicious was that earlier, his divine sense couldn't even detect the existence of this person. Although right now he could clearly see the other party's cultivation level, he always had a feeling that there was a layer of mist covering this person. It was like trying to watch the moon in the water's reflection. Wang Lin raised his head. He didn't have enough celestial spiritual energy, so his cultivation had stabilized at the mid-stage of ascendant. However, his domain had reached such a high level, which even surprised Wang Lin, as this was outside his expectations. Moreover, he had only released his life and death domain. There was still the Thunder Might and Karma domain that he hadn't released. The reason Thunder Daoist wasn't able to see through Wang Lin's domain was precisely due to the Karma domain. After Wang Lin's domain evolved, it would be impossible to see through it unless one was a true second-step cultivator. After all, the yin and yang stage was merely a transition between the first and second step. Wang Ping stared at the father before him. At the moment, his father's cultivation level increased. There was a slight fluctuation in his body. He clearly felt this fluctuation in his soul, and it made him even more sure of his speculation. Wang Ping's heart felt even more bitter. Beside him, Qing Yi held his hand. Her eyes were filled with tenderness as she said, "Don't worry, no matter what you are. I'll accompany you." Wang Ping silently pondered and nodded. Thunder Daoist's expression was gloomy as he stared at Wang Lin and said, "This old man will let you know what a real messenger of the Thunder Celestial Temple is." He raised his hand to point at the sky and shouted, "Celestial Thunder Beast." Large amounts of thunder came from all directions and seemed to occupy the entire sky. The thunder condensed like crazy into a giant ball above Thunder Daoist. Then a thunderous rumble echoed throughout the planet. This sound was filled with majesty that would shock anyone who heard it. At this moment, the cultivators that had struggled under Thunder Daoist's divine sense all heard the thunderous rumble. All of the spiritual energy inside their bodies went crazy, and they almost couldn't control it. The ball of thunder trembled before suddenly shrinking until it turned into a noble and extraordinary thunder beast. This thunder beast was extremely brilliant, and it was discharging 2 bolts of lightning from its nostrils. Its large eyes revealed its pride as if it was the noblest being in the world. However, at the moment it looked at Wang Lin, it was startled and revealed a trace of confusion. Thunder Daoist looked at Wang Lin and calmly said, "It is because of the Thunder Beast that one can be called a messenger of the Thunder Celestial Temple. The crime of pretending to be one is the genocide of your entire family." Wang Lin glanced at the Thunder Beast and slowly said, It can't be called a thunder beast without a thunder horn. He slapped his bag of holding, and the war chariot flew out and turned into a large amount of thunder. A destructive aura that could destroy the world began to spread. Then a huge beast slowly walked out from the thunder. It looked like a killin, but it wasn't a killin. There was a silver horn on its head that gave off the crackling sounds of lightning. At the moment it came out, Thunder Daoist's expression instantly changed. This was the most shock his heart had felt ever since he came to planet Ran Yun. The shock was so great that all he could do was stare at the beast, and without saying a word. The Thunder Beast from the Thunder Celestial Temple above him also released thunder from all over its body, and its 4 hooves stomped the ground, making it appear extremely aggressive. The beast formed from the war chariot raised its head and roared at the sky. Rumbles of thunder came from the sky, and bolts of lightning descended. This wasn't divine retribution, it was caused by the beast's spell. The Thunder Beast from the Thunder Celestial Temple released thunder from its nose as if it couldn't withstand it anymore, and also began roaring. Wang Lin's Thunder Beast's eyes became cold. When Thunder Beasts met, if their masters weren't there to stop them, then they would enter a battle to the death. This was very different from other celestial beasts. A ray of thunder appeared under the foot of Wang Lin's Thunder Beast. Without any hesitation, it charged directly at the Thunder Beast from the Thunder Celestial Temple. That Thunder Beast's eyes revealed a trace of panic. Its bloodline wasn't pure, but it could clearly feel that the other beast's thunder was extremely powerful. However, the dignity from its soul made it refuse to get trampled on. So it let out another roar and rushed up without flinching. Bursts of thunder echoed across the land as the 2 Thunder Beasts began their fierce battle. At this moment, it was as if the world was trembling and everything was dim. This is a silver-horned Thunder Beast. Thunder Daoist's gaze fell on the silver horn on Wang Lin's Thunder Beast, and his eyes were filled with shock. Having a Thunder Beast and is well versed with thunder spells. Thunder Daoist's face was filled with bitterness. If he hadn't been ordered to come and make sure that no messenger from the Thunder Celestial Temple had been here 70 years ago, then he would have also thought that Wang Lin was a messenger from the Thunder Celestial Temple. The Thunder Celestial Temple did have silver-horned thunder beasts, but there were very few of them, and they were all in the hands of the administrative heaven-ranked messengers. If he could obtain a silver-horned thunder beast, his status in the Thunder Celestial Temple would improve a lot. His eyes revealed a trace of greed as he looked at the horn on the Thunder Beast. He then looked directly at Wang Lin and no longer hesitated. Both of his hands formed a seal, and then his 2 hands suddenly came together. When he pulled them apart, there was an intense flash and a silver lightning sword formed. As lightning moved through the sword, Thunder Daoist's right hand formed a seal and pointed at the puppet. The silver longsword flew out from the Thunder Daoist toward the Celestial Guard puppet. As long as I kill this person, this ownerless Thunder Beast will be mine. After Thunder Daoist threw the flying sword, he charged out, his hands opened, and he shouted, "Thunder Celestial Realm Retribution!" A ray of purple lightning suddenly appeared in his hand and turned into a net. It gave off a loud rumble as it flew out toward Wang Lin. Wang Lin's expression was neutral, but his pupils shrank slightly. This Thunder Daoist was worthy of being an illusory yin cultivator. Not only was his body filled with celestial spiritual energy, but his control over thunder was shocking. I fear this person's domain is also related to thunder. Wang Lin's eyes became cold as his right hand touched the bag of holding, and the golden celestial brush immediately appeared in his hand. Wang Lin waved the brush in the air, and a symbol suddenly appeared. He didn't stop but continued at an extremely fast pace and suddenly drew 7 strokes. 7 strokes was his limit. He had to divide a portion of his origin soul for each stroke, and with 7 strokes. He had already divided his origin soul 7 times. After Wang Lin's origin soul absorbed the ancient thunder dragon, it changed. Now that 7 portions of his origin soul were inside the symbol no longer emitted a golden glow, but a white glow filled with thunder. This time it didn't only emit the pressure of a celestial, the pressure of heavenly thunder was present as well. At the moment the symbol was complete, there were crackling sounds coming from the lightning moving through it. An unimaginable destructive force exploded like a storm from the symbol. This pressure was the true might of heavenly thunder. It was not something average thunder spells could compare to. The moment this might of heavenly thunder appeared, even the two thunder beasts that were battling not far away stopped and looked over. With their awareness for thunder, they clearly felt that that thunder contained the trace of ancient heavenly thunder. This ancient heavenly thunder came from the ancient thunder dragon. The ancient thunder dragon once controlled thunder for the heavens and gained the power to control heavenly thunder. After Wang Lin devoured the ancient thunder dragon, it gradually fused with his origin soul, and he gained that power. It could even be said that the thunder from Wang Lin's origin soul was above all other thunder in the world. If Thunder Taoist used other spells, he would be fine. But if he faced Wang Lin with thunder spells, there was no chance for him to win. Even though his cultivation level was higher, it wasn't high enough. He would have to be in the real second step to win. Wang Lin had absolute superiority when it came to thunder, and there was no thunder spell in the world that could injure him. In other words, Wang Lin was a living thunder dragon. After drawing the 7-stroke symbol, the brush gently tapped the symbol and it flew toward Thunder Taoist. Thunder Taoist's expression was gloomy. He clenched his teeth and pushed the thunder his palm to meet the symbol. Boom! The symbol collapsed, carrying endless force along with 7 portions of Wang Lin's origin soul and directly imprinted on Thunder Taoist. The purple lightning in his hand immediately disintegrated, and he sprayed out a large mouthful of blood before retreating like crazy. Boom, 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 boom. Every explosion was a portion of Origin's soul echoing inside Thunder Taoist's body. He continued to cough out blood as he continued to retreat. When the final portion of Origin's soul finished echoing, Thunder Taoist's face was pale, and he had already retreated 1,000 feet. The aghast in his eyes was monstrous. This was the first time in his life that he was defeated by a thunder spell. He even had a feeling that if he were to compare to his enemy, this Shu Mu was the real messenger of the thunder celestial realm, and he was the fake. This sense of confusion made him take a deep breath, and his eyes became even more gloomy. Wang Lin sighed in his heart. This Thunder Taoist was indeed an illusory yin cultivator. After being hit by the symbol, he was only injured and his core wasn't affected. The other party's celestial spiritual energy was too strong, and there were even traces of the origin energy mixed in. When the thunder entered Thunder Taoist's body, it was constantly being dissolved by this force. You are very strong. I guess you were in seclusion in planet Ran Yun in order to comprehend your domain. If given another 100 years, perhaps you would become even stronger than me. If your cultivation level was same as mine, I would die without a doubt. But unfortunately, your cultivation stopped at the first step. Thunder Taoist took a deep breath and all his injuries immediately recovered. However, Wang Lin could clearly feel that there seemed to be a bit less of the world origin energy in the other's body. Thunder Taoist said with a heavy tone, I'll ask you one more time, hand over the silver-horned thunder beast and the puppet and I'll let you go. Otherwise, you will definitely die today. The spell I used was only a normal spell. But if you remain stubborn, I'll use an origin energy spell exclusive to second-step cultivators. You won't be able to resist. Wang Lin's expression was calm as his right hand touched his bag of holding and a large sword appeared in his grasp. He calmly said, Attack. Let me experience an illusory yin cultivator's origin energy spell. Whether it was the Huan family's ancestor, or Qian Quizi, or Thunder Taoist, Wang Lin found one thing in common between the three of them, and that was the origin energy. It was obvious that this origin energy was the key of second-step cultivators. This battle could be said to be Wang Lin's first time personally battling an illusory yin cultivator. The powerful recovery ability of an illusory yin cultivator made Wang Lin's heart gloomy. Thunder Taoist's gaze went past Wang Lin and landed on Wang Ping and Qing Yi. His eyes revealed a mysterious light and he slowly said, You gave up comprehending your domain for a dead person. This has puzzled this old man greatly. Wang Lin suddenly looked up, revealing bloodshot eyes. He raised the sword in his hand and coldly said, Shut up. Thunder Taoist's eyes lit up. For the first time, he used a spell with his eyes to look at Wang Ping. Under this gaze, Wang Ping's body felt cold. It was as if his body had no secrets at all and was completely seen through by the other party. Wang Lin's power had touched Thunder Daoist's bottom line. Unless it was his last resort, he didn't want to use an origin energy spell, because origin energy was simply too scarce. With his cultivation level, unless it was a life and death situation, he was unwilling to use an origin energy spell. After all, the more times he used it, the longer he would stay at the illusory yin stage. If he couldn't break through after 1,000 years, his cultivation would forever stop progressing. He had less than 300 years left, so he wasn't willing to casually use origin energy spells. What he feared the most was Wang Lin's thunder. Thunder Daoist deduced that the thunder was related to this person's domain. If he could break this person's domain, perhaps he could win without using an origin spell. Let this old man see once more. So it was originally a resentful soul. I thought there was some problem. How could a mortal resist my divine sense? At first I thought it was the puppet, but it looks like I was wrong. Thunder Daoist laughed, and there was a hint of malice in his words. However, his pupils shrank and he stopped what he was saying. His gaze toward Wang Ping revealed a powerful sense of fear. This is sword energy. This sword energy is too terrifying. Thunder Daoist gasped and immediately retreated with his scalp feeling numb. That spell just now allowed him to see the two rays of sword energy inside Wang Ping's body. Madman. This person is a madman. He actually used this kind of sword energy to form flesh for a mere soul fragment. This old man can't fight this time. I need to quickly retreat. Thunder Daoist's body trembled, and without any hesitation, he quickly retreated toward the Thunder Beast. The two strands of sword energy inside Wang Ping completely frightened him. Wang Ping silently pondered as he stared at his father's back, and he didn't speak for a long time. Wang Lin's eyes were bloodshot as he stared at Thunder Daoist, who was attempting to escape. If it wasn't for the fact that Ling Tianhu's sword energies weren't in his body, he would have released them all to kill this person. At this moment, without any hesitation, he waved his hand and chopped down. A portion of the origin energy that merged with his origin soul entered the sword. As Thunder Daoist retreated, his expression changed once more. He felt a terrifying aura descend from the heavens. Origin energy spell. How can you use an origin energy spell? As Thunder Daoist's expression changed, he felt a sense of life and death crisis. Thunder Daoist was inferior to the Huan family's ancestor. After all, the Huan family's ancestor's cultivation level was originally at the early stage of Nirvana Scrya. Even though his cultivation level fell, he was still much more powerful than any ordinary yin and yang cultivator. Feeling a sense of crisis, his finger pointed between his eyebrows and his eyes released a white light. This white light was gentle, and it contained a sliver of world origin energy. In an instant, a portion of origin energy came out from Thunder Daoist's body and charged out from the top of his head. At this moment, the entire planet trembled and a faintly discernible aura filled the world. Thunder Daoist's face was pale. It was clear that using an origin energy spell was a huge burden for him. Thunder Daoist shouted, "Origin energy thunder furnace." More origin energy came out from his head, and then the world changed. This was a real change, and not just some illusion. The sky slowly descended, and everything began to sink. The earth began to rise. There were bursts of rumbling sounds as the ground under Thunder Daoist continued to shake. The change of the sky and earth completed in an instant. At this moment, there was no longer sky or earth, only a huge blue furnace. The sky and earth had turned into a giant furnace. The sky was the lid, while the earth was the body. This was an origin energy spell. At this moment, the Thunder Beast from the Thunder Celestial Temple let out a roar. It dragged its wounded body, turned into a bolt of lightning, and landed on the furnace. Soon, countless carvings gradually appeared on his originally blank furnace. They were carvings of the Thunder Beast, Shumu. This is this old man's origin energy spell. Let us see which of us will live. The world had been turned into a furnace, and at this moment, Thunder Daoist's voice was like the heaven's might. Thunder rumbled inside the giant furnace, and countless lightning bolts appeared everywhere in this boundless world. The furnace formed by the world was like an oven, and it began refining everything inside as more bolts of thunder appeared. The sword in Wang Lin's hand simply fell. The strange aura that now contained the law of the world filled the entire furnace. What it was cutting wasn't any material object, but the law of this world. Bolts of thunder continued to descend on Wang Lin. This thunder wasn't born from the heavens, but from Thunder Daoist's spell. Aside from thunder, they also contained his Dao. When the heavenly chop landed, the furnace turned illusory to Wang Lin's eyes. There were strands of blue lines surrounding the area, and it was these strands that formed the furnace. The sword chopped down, and the blue strands quickly collapsed. Thunder Daoist's muffled groan came from the world, and at the same time, more origin energy rushed out of his body to maintain the integrity of the furnace. Shortly after, even more Dao thunder descended. Every bolt that fell on Wang Lin caused his body to tremble. If it wasn't for his origin soul changing, this much Dao thunder would have caused his body to vanish without a trace. Wang Lin's eyes became even colder. At this moment, the celestial guard puppet, which was also inside the furnace, began waving its fist like crazy. It bombarded the entire area, making the entire world seem to tremble. Although the thunder here was strong, the flesh of the puppet was even stronger, so the thunder couldn't damage it at all. Every punch from the puppet was equal to an illusory yin cultivator's attack as they landed on the furnace. This was the biggest threat to Thunder Daoist. Almost like a response to the celestial guard puppet, the Thunder Beast roared. Its body gave off a bright light, and then a sliver of gold came from its silver horn. Countless thunderbolts flew from its body and spread across the area. The thunder caused countless rumbles and made the furnace shake even harder. Thunder Daoist's muffled groan echoed once more, and a large amount of origin energy flew out of his body once more into the large furnace. Refined for this old man. A hideous voice echoed. At the moment the Dao thunder descended inside the furnace, a purple flame appeared. In an instant, a sea of flames appeared inside the furnace. The combination of thunder and fire was much more powerful. Wang Lin's expression was gloomy. The origin energy in his body couldn't compare to the old man's, so he couldn't display the full power of the heavenly chop. It was just as the Huan family's ancestor had said. If Wang Lin was at the second step, or even at the yin and yang stage, the power of his heavenly chop would increase exponentially. His eyes lit up as he put away the celestial sword and looked at the Thunder Beast. Wang Lin bit the tip of his finger and used his blood to draw a very complex symbol. This symbol was filled with vicissitude as if it had existed for a very long time. The moment this symbol appeared, the Thunder Beast was startled, and it turned its big head toward Wang Lin. Third seal, open. Wang Lin waved his hand, and the symbol penetrated all the thunder and lightning before imprinting on the Thunder Beast's forehead. The Thunder Beast's body trembled, its face revealed a painful expression, and then it let out a startling roar. As its body trembled, a row of thorns came out from its back. These ferocious thorns gave off a cold glint, and intense lightning zipped between them. A terrifying aura suddenly appeared inside the furnace. This aura contained a heaven-defying might. If it dared to defy the heavens, then there was no need to mention this origin energy spell. The Thunder Beast's body suddenly grew several times bigger. The silver lightning that was moving all over the Thunder Beast turned black. The black lightning carried a destructive aura as it suddenly charged out from the Thunder Beast's body. The beast let out another roar. Then it flew into the sky, and complex beast language came out of its mouth. This made the Thunder Beast from the Thunder Celestial Temple start trembling. It came out from the furnace and lied down on the ground in submission, not daring to look up. Previously, it felt that the other Thunder Beast was only a bit stronger than itself, but its pride made it dare to fight. However, a deep fear came from its soul this time. The other Thunder Beast had suddenly changed into its ancestor, and that was something it couldn't resist. After the Thunder Beast had the third seal released, its body was covered in lightning. At this moment, the amount of lightning reached its peak, and the black lightning began to spread out. A black thunderstorm expanded like crazy. At this moment, the celestial guard's body began to release a golden light. The golden light slowly turned red and then orange, and the power it contained became even stronger. Boom! The thunderstorm covered the entire furnace, and countless cracks suddenly appeared. And these cracks continued to expand. Boom! The celestial guard's punch landed on the furnace, causing even more cracks to appear. The powerful force spread everywhere, and Thunder Daoist's origin energy surged into the furnace like crazy. He had no time to feel pain over the use of origin energy, because this was the most difficult battle he'd had since becoming a messenger of the Thunder Celestial Temple. It was a life-and-death battle. However, the speed at which his origin energy was entering the furnace couldn't match the combined power of the Thunder Beast after the third seal had been released and the Celestial Guard puppet. At this moment of crisis, Wang Lin's eyes became cold. He didn't pick up the big sword, but raised his finger and mercilessly chopped down. Heavenly chop, rumble. An indescribable explosion echoed the heavens and earth. The giant furnace suddenly exploded. There was black lightning on each of the fragments. And then there was another series of explosions as those fragments exploded once more. Wang Lin's expression was deathly pale. After using 2 heavenly chops, he was really low on origin energy, almost to the point of his cultivation level falling. If he was missing even a sliver more, his cultivation level probably would have fallen. His body flickered, and the world around him returned to normal. Wang Lin took a deep breath. Although his face was pale, his eyes were even colder than before. Thunder Daoist's body appeared in the air. He coughed out a large mouthful of blood and directly turned around to flee. He was afraid. He had fought countless battles, but never had encountered something so strange. Although the enemy was merely a first-step cultivator, all of the spells and treasures he possessed made his scalp numb, and those 2 rays of sword energy made him only hate himself for not being able to run away sooner. The Celestial Guard puppet quickly chased after Thunder Daoist. The Thunder Beast let out a roar and also closely followed after the Celestial Guard. They gradually disappeared over the horizon. Wang Ping softly said, "Dad, is what he said true?" In the battle just now, Thunder Daoist didn't include Wang Ping and Qing Yi in his spell, as he didn't dare to provoke those 2 rays of sword energy inside Wang Ping. Wang Lin's expression was extremely pale. He slowly turned around and stared at Wang Ping. After a long time, he nodded. Wang Ping stared at this father and faintly smiled. This smile was really carefree, and he calmly said, "Dad, is this the real reason you didn't let me cultivate and why I still don't have a child with Qing Yi? Because I'm already dead." Wang Lin's eyes revealed sadness as he looked at Wang Ping and softly said, "You are not dead." Wang Ping shook his head and smiled. "Dad, you taught me that if I meet a mountain, I can climb it. If I meet a river, I can cross it. Even if I meet the heavens, I can walk defyingly against them. Dad, thank you. In fact, I already had the answer to this question a long time ago, but I didn't dare to face it, to confirm it. Why I can't cultivate. Why I can't have an heir. Why I have never gotten sick in more than 70 years. I have never even truly felt tired before. Why I can clearly feel that my end has arrived while my body feels nothing. I finally understand now." Wang Ping looked at Wang Lin. His smile revealed his carefree nature, but there was a hint reluctance in it.